Precision International is proud to have been named a GM Supplier of the Year for 5 consecutive years by General Motors. Precision is in the bag.
Hi, I'm John Salazzo, Vice President of Sales for Precision International. For over 40 years, Precision International has been providing transmission shops around the world the best sourced, most complete transmission kits available. We make every effort to provide transmission rebuilders with key information, including installation tips and product updates to make rebuilds with our kits more efficient and easier. Our website features an ever-increasing library of video seminars featuring industry expert John Palmer. John has made presentations at trade shows and taught classes on transmission rebuilds around the world. John also runs his own very successful transmission shop in Center H, Long Island. We've asked him to talk about some of the day-to-day business strategies he employs to manage the shop and share some of his experiences from providing seminars around the world. We hope that after watching John's videos, they benefit you and your shop. Thank you.
Ready? Yeah. Okay, let's do this.
Can't see anywhere.
Nope. Well, somebody else worked on this at one time and obviously used too much silicone because it's everywhere. If a surface has if it's a clean surface and it takes a gasket, if it's done properly, there's no reason to have silicone. Transmission's hanging back. As the transmission sits, the converter drains down somewhat. There's oil in the pan, it'll rise up and start leaking out as you're working. Saves on the mess and the aggravation. The transfer case is out. Start getting all your other brackets off the transmission so you can get to the wiring harness. On this particular harness, you have to squeeze on both sides to get the plug to come out. Sometimes there could be dirt, road salt, another kind of debris in the plug that'll keep it from coming out easily. Just got to take your time, and eventually it'll come out for you. When you go to pop the cooling lines off, try to hold that off to the last thing before you actually disconnect the bell housing bolts. Because while you're working, the cooling lines will just keep dripping down, and it'll be dripping right on top of you, just like water torture. Some cooling line fittings are threaded in, and some are held in by wire clips. In this particular case, that's what we got. Same thing applies as far as the dirt. Sometimes you got to clean them out before you can get the clip out. But the converter's already been unbolted. Sometimes that could be a little tight getting to as well, because in today's day and age, they're making things tighter and tighter to work on. Right now, the only thing I got left is pull all the bell housing bolts out and just pop the 2 cooling lines that I've already pulled the clips out on. You also have to be very careful when you're pulling these things down, that there's no extra surprises of any extra wire harnesses that might be still connected to the bell housing. Sometimes there's a lot of brackets that are held in place right at the bell housing bolts. So you got to be careful when you're pulling them down. Right now, I'm just looking for all the brackets that could possibly be sticking. This particular one is the filler tube bracket. When you can, pull the filler tube out and put a plug in. Again, less mess, less aggravation. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but try to do it as neatly as you can. Magnetic lights work very well instead of using a regular drop light, because it keeps the aim for you. And then sometimes you got to add a little more light. This is the jack that's going to remove the transmission, help me remove the transmission out of the vehicle. It's a two-stage jack with about 1,000-pound weight capacity. So I know it's not going to collapse on me while I'm pulling the transmission down. I'm going to come down a little bit more. Just watch your head. Before you take that last bolt out, make sure that your cooling lines are disconnected from the transmission so you don't bend them coming down. Take your pry bar, wedge it between the transmission and the engine, and it usually should pop right off for you. And then slowly lower it down. Make sure there are no wires being pulled with the transmission as it's coming down. Sometimes when you pull them out, the dowel pins get stuck in the bell housing. They have to be put back into the engine for the transmission to be aligned properly. If exchange transmission is being used, they do not come with it. Once the transmission's out, inspect the flywheel and inspect the rear main seal for any oil leaks. In this particular case, this is where the oil leak is on this vehicle. It's coming right from the backing plate, so I'm gonna have to pull the flywheel off to see what's involved in doing it. Flywheel looks good. Teeth are in good shape and no cracks. The back of this engine is leaking oil. It's leaking from the rear main seal and the back engine plate. I'll let Ed up front know so we can notify the customer, and then we'll do what we have to do to finish the job. Now the transmission goes off to the rebuilding process.